Welcome back to CIA Declassified. Today we leave the laboratories of physics and biology to enter the library of the mind. In the 1960s and 70s, the agency faced a crisis of trust. Defectors were pouring over the Iron Curtain, but were they genuine refugees or Soviet plants? The CIA realized that a spy could be trained to lie about their name, their past, and their mission, but they couldn't be trained to lie about their syntax. They believed the way you use a word like of or with was a fingerprint you couldn't erase. This was the analytical web of Project MUDLARK. MUDLARK was a deep dive into computational linguistics long before the invention of the modern computer. Project MUDLARK was a study conducted by the Office of Research and Development to determine if stylometry, the statistical study of literary style, could identify double agents. A quote from a declassified ORD technical report: individual linguistic habits, specifically the frequency and placement of function words, remain constant even under extreme psychological stress. End quote. The agency believed that a native Russian speaker, even if they spoke perfect English, would subconsciously retain the grammatical architecture of their first language. MUDLARK researchers analyzed thousands of hours of debriefing tapes counting the number of times defectors used prepositions compared to native-born Americans. The CIA collaborated with the National Security Agency to use early IBM mainframes to look for linguistic deviations and diplomatic cables. A quote from a 1971 research summary: the subject's use of at and on in the third hour of interrogation showed a 40% shift toward Slavic structures, suggesting a manufactured cover story. End quote. Testing occurred at Camp Perry, a secret training facility in Virginia, where mock defectors were challenged to hide their true origins from MUDLARK analysts. The project explored content analysis, wondering if a mole could use fewer personal pronouns like I or me to distance themselves from their lies. MUDLARK investigators looked for ghost words, words that a spy had been trained to avoid but that their brain naturally wanted to use. A quote from a declassified psychology division memo: grammar is the skeletal system of the ego. It cannot be disguised by the cosmetics of a fake accent. End quote. The agency developed a syntax score for high-ranking officials to detect if their written reports were being ghost-written by a foreign operative. Research into MUDLARK helped the CIA develop automated deception detection, a precursor to modern algorithms that scan emails for fraud. The project examined punctuation fingerprints, analyzing if the frequency of commas or semicolons could reveal the specific school where a spy was educated. Internal logs show that MUDLARK data was used to help identify the Unabomber decades later by matching his manifesto to his college papers. A quote from a declassified OSS archive logbook: language is the only biological emission that the subject cannot fully control. End quote. The CIA investigated linguistic mimicry, testing if an agent could catch the grammar of their handler, thereby proving their loyalty. Operational security required that all MUDLARK analysts be sequestered in soundproof suites to avoid being biased by the subject's tone of voice. The agency considered using MUDLARK-tuned recorders in the UN to analyze the speeches of world leaders for signs of hidden target phrases. Research suggests that MUDLARK was a key tool in vetting the Mitrokin Archive, a massive collection of KGB secrets. And that's MITROKHIN. The declassified files highlight a sub-study into micropauses, the milliseconds of silence before a person uses a specific preposition. A quote from a declassified 1974 program termination summary. While the linguistic markers are present, the compute time required to process 1 hour of speech makes real-time field use impossible, end quote. CIA analysts were trained to listen for syntactic fatigue the moment a spy's brain gets too tired to maintain a fake grammar pattern. MUDLARK was the first time the agency acknowledged that how a person speaks is more dangerous than what they say. The project explored gendered linguistics, looking for shifts in sentence length when a male defector was interviewed by a female analyst. The declassified files confirm that MUDLARK protocols are still used today to analyze deepfake audio for subtle grammatical inconsistencies. In the late 1960s, analysts noticed that defectors who were under the influence of truth serums like sodium pentothal often reverted to the prepositional structures of their primary language faster than their secondary language. The agency attempted to map linguistic isoglosses, which are geographical boundaries for specific word usage, to pinpoint exactly which Soviet village a spy might have actually called home. A quote from a 1970 Office of Communications brief: "A man may lose his accent in a year, but the ratio of nouns to verbs in his spontaneous speech is a biological constant," end quote. MUDLARK researchers found that high-stress interrogations caused subjects to drop auxiliary verbs like have or be, a pattern that became a key indicator of a crumbling cover story. The project used early tape splicing techniques to create sentence scrambles, where subjects had to reconstruct a thought, revealing their natural grammatical instincts in the process. While the prepositional counts are available, a 1975 file titled MUDLARK Phase 6, the command code, is almost entirely blacked out. Why is the CIA hiding the section on subliminal syntax? Get ready for the theory of the universal snitch. Speculation suggests that Project MUDLARK discovered a hidden spy language hard-coded into our brains, and the black redactions hide the grammar key that lets the agency read your thoughts before you even say them, interpreting the pre-speech signals in your motor cortex. What if you're a mole and you don't know it? A dark rumor suggests the CIA used MUDLARK to create prepositional triggers that can activate a sleeper agent with a single sentence, and the redactions are the list of trigger phrases currently being broadcast on daytime television. Could a sentence be a prison? Speculation suggests the redactions hide Project Echo, where the agency developed a way to loop a person's thoughts by speaking to them in a specific, broken grammar that the brain cannot stop trying to solve. Watch out for the word erasure theory. It claims the redactions hide a list of words that, if used in a specific order, can wipe a person's short-term memory, and the agency uses these during debriefings to ensure nobody remembers the MUDLARK facility. What if the machine is speaking through you? Speculation posits the redactions hide evidence of linguistic possession, where an agent's speech patterns were completely replaced by an AI-generated personality to infiltrate high society circles. Could a typo be a death warrant? A wild rumor suggests the redactions hide the red pen protocol, where the CIA identifies targets for elimination based purely on their linguistic threat score on social media. Brace for the punctuation pulse theory. It claims the agency changed the grammar rules in American schools in the 90s to make the population's speech easier for MUDLARK algorithms to track. Some believe the redactions hide the Babel virus. Speculation suggests the CIA successfully created a sound wave that temporarily removes a person's ability to understand prepositions, rendering them unable to follow directions or move in space. Beware the accent anchor rumor. It claims the redactions hide the location of a linguistic re-education camp where the agency creates perfect fake accents by surgically altering the subject's vocal cords. Some speculate the black bars hide the silence script. The theory is that the agency found a combination of words that causes a human heart to stop, and the redactions are the dead letter codes. Prepare for the descriptive danger rumor. It claims the redactions hide a secret project where certain adverbs were mentally linked to the feeling of pain, allowing an operative to torture a captive simply by using very descriptive language during the interrogation. Is the rhythm a remote? Speculation suggests the redacted files cover the lambic impulse, where the CIA found that speaking in a specific poetic meter can bypass the conscious mind and plant a seed of total obedience in anyone who hears it. Watch out for the ending action theory. It posits that the agency discovered that words ending in ing emit a specific low-frequency vibration that can be picked up by secret microphones even when whispered, and the redactions are the blueprints for these linguistic receivers. Some believe the redactions hide Project Definite, where the CIA studied whether people who use the word the more frequently than a are more likely to be authoritarian, and the black bars are a psychological profile of every U.S. president. Lastly, hold your breath for the resonance rebellion. This rumor suggests the redactions hide proof that certain vowel sounds can physically alter the shape of a person's eardrum to make them deaf to specific state secrets. Was Project MUDLARK a success? Statistically, yes. The project successfully identified several Soviet plants by their grammatical drift. However, operationally, it was a burden. The amount of manual transcription required was staggering. It wasn't until the latest declassification that we realized MUDLARK wasn't just a failure. It was the blueprint for every voice recognition and predictive text system we use today. As far as operational and technological breakthroughs go beyond that, the echoes of MUDLARK are in your pocket right now. Stylometric profiling, developing the first statistical models for author identification. Linguistic stress analysis, measuring the jitter and shimmer in a voice to detect lies without a polygraph. Pattern recognition, the early foundations of natural language processing. And clandestine debriefing, techniques for extracting information from a subject without them knowing they are being interrogated. Project MUDLARK proves that you can change your clothes, your face, and your story, but you can never escape your own syntax. The next time you're writing an email or leaving a voicemail, take a look at your prepositions. You might be telling the CIA more than you think. Thanks for listening. Join us next time we examine Operation Lack. The agency wanted to know how invisible a weapon could be. We'll uncover the 1950s spraying of zinc cadmium over St. Louis and Winnipeg. We'll look at how the CIA tested how biological agents would drift through the streets of a city while the citizens were told it was just a smokescreen. Join us next time for the Mist of St. Louis and Winnipeg. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.